こんにちは。Welcome back to my channel. How are you doing? Last time, I talked about the classification of verbs and adjectives. So this time, I'd like to explain how to conjugate them based on that classification. Today's grammar is des and mas form. This is a polite form used when talking with superiors or someone you are not familiar with. So basically, as long as you use this form when talking to Japanese people, you'll be fine. Alright, let's get into it. Let's begin with des. It is used in nominal and adjectival sentences. Nominal sentences are simple. Just add des after a noun. For example, 私は医者です。Some textbook might explain that this is same as English is are. But I don't think that's accurate. Because as I explained before, Japanese sentences can function without this, like 私は医者. So this itself doesn't have a special meaning, just make nominal and adjectival sentences more polite. Okay, let's move on to adjectival sentences. When it comes to adjectives, the rules are a bit different between I adjectives and na adjectives. For I adjectives, you can add des just after the I adjective, like アニメは面白いです。But for na adjectives, you need to remove last na and then add des, like アニメは人気です。Let's practice. How do you say this in Japanese? コンビニは便利です。How about this one? 東京はきれいです。Now you might be thinking, okay then, when do I use blah blah not form? Blah blah not form is used when modifying noun. In other words, when the adjective comes before a noun. For example, 東京はきれいな街です。There is a noun, 街, after the adjective. So you use きれいな here. Let's check out other examples. 田中さんは元気な人です。アメリカは有名な国です。As I mentioned before, 好きな and 嫌いな like and dislike are not adjectives in Japanese. So you can use them like this. これは私の好きな歌です。This is my favorite song. これは私の嫌いな食べ物です。This is a food I don't like. It's common expression, so give it a try. Let's take a look at negative form. Basically, nouns and not adjectives follow the same conjugation patterns. And making a negative sentence with this for nouns and not adjectives is super easy. Just replace this with じゃないです。For example, フランス語は簡単じゃないです。これはろじゃないです。口です。I can't tell them too. 私もわからないよ。But for I adjectives, there is another rule. You need to replace last I with くないです。Like, 勉強は楽しくないです。今日は暑くないです。Okay, let's also learn the past affirmative and past negative forms. The past affirmative form for nouns and non-adjectives is でした。And the past negative form is じゃなかったです。For example, 彼は有名でした。私はいい学生じゃなかったです。For the past affirmative form for each adjective, replace い with かったです。And for the past negative form, replace い with くなかったです。For example, 昨日は暑かったです。パーティーは楽しくなかったです。Okay, that was a lot of information, but here is a summary table of adjective conjugation. Use this table to practice by yourself. Next up, ます form. ます form is used with verbs. Firstly, let's take a look at root verbs. The rule for root verbs is simple. Just replace る with ます。For example, 食べる goes to 食べます。Then how about 見る? It's 見ます。Next is you verbs. Look at this hiragana chart. As I said last time, each row is called あ段、い段、う段、え段、お段. All verbs end with う段 hiragana, and to conjugate you verbs into ます form, you replace last hiragana with the い段 hiragana in the same column and add ます. For example, 読む ends with む. You have to change む to み. So in this case, it's 読みます. Another example. How about 話す? This ends with す. So replace す with し. 話します. Let's try one more. How about 書く? Yes, it goes to 書きます. Excellent! Let's finish by looking at irregular verbs. Do you remember two irregular verbs? They are 来る and する. 来る goes to 来ます. する goes to します. That's it. Other する verbs follow the same pattern. 勉強する goes to 勉強します. Let's also look at the negative and past forms. For all verbs, you can make present negative form by replacing ます with ません. Like 食べません, 読みません, しません. To make the past affirmative form, replace ます with ました. Like 食べました、読みました、しました. For the past negative form, replace ます with ませんでした. Like 食べませんでした、読みませんでした、 しませんでした。This is a table of mass form conjugation. Try practicing with various verbs. Okay, today's lesson was packed with information. Well done for sticking it. Don't forget to go over today's lesson. Thanks for watching. See you next time. じゃあねー。